and we are still marching into publishing. So it's marching to publishing, and I'm beginning to shift. So as an advocate for authorship and someone who has trained over 1,000 authors worldwide, I believe that you don't have to be stuck in the way that you started. Okay, I did start in the arts, and the book that I am talking about is in the arts, but the strategy was different. So today I'm going to talk about book 7 of 19 and how this strategy can help you. So it is 7 Steps to a Divine Dance Company. I released this, I did a photo shoot. I was cute, still cute. She was cute. Okay, I did a photo shoot for this. So today I want to talk about becoming an expert in your industry using publishing as a launching pad. I have since, rebranded or consolidated my brand since Get Right Publishing, which I still have. But as many of you know, I say go East. And that's the East formula. It's entrepreneur, author, speaker, trainer. And the reason why we do it that way is because the purpose is to establish yourself as an expert in the industry that you are in, so that you're not just another business. You are not equal to your competitors. You become the instructor of your industry. You are the one that people call to do podcasts, media interviews, speaking opportunities, engagements. You have experience. So that means that you have more to share and you can multiply on a different level. That means that beyond your clients, you will also have income streams from publishing opportunities, speaking opportunities, training opportunities, and it takes you from local to global. And so that's why I think that publishing elevates your expertise, and you can do it too. So at the time that I published this book, which was 2015, so 10 years ago, I had been an entrepreneur of sorts since about 2003. Okay, so I'd already had about 12 years of experience running various types of businesses, having a good time doing that. So I had a dance company at a brick and mortar location. We rehearsed twice a week for several hours per day during that week. So it was not free. It was not a nonprofit. I ran it as an LLC. I charged my students tuition, and then I also taught them entrepreneurship. Believe it or not, I believe that whatever you are, you should reproduce that and you should multiply that. So several people explored entrepreneurship, and there's some right now that are running their businesses to this day that I'm so proud of, because I know that that spark of entrepreneurship was placed in them. So I was running a successful dance company. At one point we had 40 members, we had parents, we had supporters. And so because I was doing that, people ask you, when you do something successfully, people ask you how you did it. So believe it or not, I had been teaching, I had been teaching an e-course for 7 weeks about how to start a dance company. This was not just a community dance group, which can still be helped, okay? But this was people who wanted to start a dance company, so something profitable, a business that they were running. So when I initially started this training, it was called Dance Company and Studio Management, okay? So it was an email course, it was an email course, and I would send a PDF to the person. They would do their homework, send it back to me. I would send them another PDF for 7 weeks. They paid me $100 to do it, and then I upgraded it and I put it in written format. So it expanded my experience and put it in a way that was easy to read. Now, I want to encourage you. Remember, I'm an overachiever. 19 books is overachieving, but I'm not done. My first book, 371 pages. See the difference? Every book that you do does not have to be thickums, okay? I wanted an easy to read guidebook that people could get through. See how clear that is? That was laid out. I asked them questions. They had places to make steps, action steps for themselves, because I wanted it to really be a good guide for someone who was serious about running a dance company. Even if you're not running a dance company, this will help if you're running any type of team, right? But I wanted an easy to read book that would expand my experience. So as a result of me continuing to release books in the arts, I was booked for multiple speaking engagements about the arts, which meant that they secured me as a speaker. Most of the time I was paid a speaker fee. They flew me out on a plane. They gave me a room for stay, hotel stay. And also I had a vendor table, which was significant. Why? Because I had all these additional books that I've already shared, boom, 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 that I had written, right, as an author, which meant that I had at least this many books at the time in addition to the new book that I was releasing, which is why I always say, if you're an expert of your industry, you should be publishing new material at least once per year. It keeps you fresh and in demand on a circuit as a speaker, a presenter, a panelist, a workshop presenter, what you're doing, and then it gives people a reason to come to your table. So if I say, hey, Rakesha Pittman will be signing her new book, even if you purchased all my previous books, you have a reason to come back to me. Okay, you see how this works? So it would be great for you if you want to be an expert in your industry, whatever industry that is. I'm in more than one industry, y'all. I cannot take all the books that I publish with me at the same time, but it helped keep me fresh. It helped my expertise stay fresh. It gave me something new to talk about. So it meant that I wasn't just teaching the same workshops over and over again. I always have something new to say. So if people were thinking about launching a dance company, guess what they were booking me to talk about? How to set up a dance company if you want an arts company. And I think that it's still a viable way to do it today. There was such freedom. I've been a church dance leader. I've been a community dance leader. There was such freedom in having a public community dance group because I was really able to pour into them. So remember, this is the same team of people that I was leading that helped write Training to Reign. So what I am, I multiply. So they all became authors, right? Here's the ones who were in this particular book, and I was able to teach them that. And so then I took them from authorship to entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, author, speaker, trainer, even though it was backwards. They did AEST. Okay, and I was also teaching them how to do workshops. So I taught entrepreneurship. Layered leadership model was intact. Everybody had an assignment as we learned in Training to Reign. So I teach dance company and studio management or aspiring people. How do you set this up and what do you do and how do you set schedules? They did it, man, I'm telling you. How do you set schedules? How do you communicate? How do you run a company that people respect? So a lot of common issues that people dealt with in similar communities, I did not deal with because it was set up to be respected. It was run as a business. I became the standard. Whatever industry you're in, become the standard. If you're demanding something of people, you be the best, which meant that I took technique classes. I made sure that I was up on all of my reading, all of my studies. I made sure that I was always better than, not competing, but better than people in my groups to give them something to go toward. So if people see that you are leading with integrity, it is easier for them to follow you versus them reading your book saying, man, we don't do this. Okay, so it was active for them. This is what I will say. It is easier to sell books when people see evidence. So if I'm rolling around with a company of people, or people say I roll deep or whatever it was, if I show up and people are with me, that is evidence. So if I have a company that can dance well, or if you have a company that does whatever they do well, when there's evidence of your expertise, it is much easier to sell books and then give book to speak and yada, 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 okay? So make sure when there's evidence, it's easier to do it. You won't have to work so hard. So I also, as part of my leadership, mandated that everyone in my company travel with me at least twice per year. So that meant that beyond our Las Vegas region, they had to travel with me by plane to something. I was speaking so much, right? To some event and not go to classes that they normally go to so that they can stretch and learn and expand. It was twice a year. Everyone had to have a passport. You have to go international with me. So when you give people something to actually aspire to become, you will be surprised at how many people actually stay and support what you are doing. So they came with me in turn. When I'm selling these books, people saw the evidence of how my company conducted themselves, how they looked, how they interacted, how they supported. A lot of times they would go and they would also offer help to other people who were there. Hey, do you need help breaking your table down. They were servants. They were serving. They were always there to help. Why? Because that's something that I did as a leader. So it provided evidence, fruit, right? I didn't just go off to conferences and come back and tell them about it. You come with me. And also them coming with me helped them appreciate me a little bit more because they saw how other groups manage things. Doesn't mean that it was all bad, right? But they saw how other groups manage things and said, you know, Keisha, you ain't that bad at all. You pretty good. We cool. We love you. All right. So it helped. So what advice right now can you repurpose in an easy to read format that will not only sell but gain additional bookings or paid speaking engagements? It doesn't. Now I would say don't just put out a skinny book because you didn't do your work. What I'm saying was this was all it took. It didn't need this, okay? It just needed that. So I always say whatever the size of the container or the vessel, fill it. This was the size that needed to be filled for that, okay? So what is it that you know that people always ask you for? And for me, this was one of the things. How did you start your dance company? I put it in a book. That limited the number of one-on-one conversations that I had to have. Or if someone asked me, hey, do you have my copy of 7 Ways to Get Speaking Engagements, right? That's a way for them to do that and then say, talk to me after you read the book. It just makes it so much easier. Still be professional. What I have not appreciated is that people think that you can shortcut excellence. And so they'll do a printed book that they go to Staples or wherever it's print now, right? FedEx, whoever. And they will print some paper copies that actually cost more than if you would just go on and invest and produce the book. So if you present it in excellence, usually people will respect you and treat you with excellence. So still be professional. I still had a cover. I still had a back. It's still laid out in a very professional manner. I make sure that all of my things were correct. Okay? This raggedy taggedy bootleggery, stop it, because it's costing you more. Ignorance is costing you. I always say that excellence will pay you, okay? So that is a way that you can elevate your expertise through authorship. But please, y'all, we know when you're shortcutting, and we know when you're cheap, and we know when you're trying to get around it, and we know when we open up your book and it's not laid out right, because we've been at a bookstore and we see how it's supposed to be, okay? So that's the reason why I do classes like March into Publishing. And that's the reason why you'll see me do lots and lots more author education this year, because my core talent is teaching and training, all right? So as you see me doing all of these books, my birthday is this month. So please, if you have not purchased all of my books, and if you have, can you gift someone with a copy? Like, I'm working on a new one, but can you gift someone with a copy? So anyway, I lane shifted. Remember, I don't believe in staying in lanes, right? I'm glad that you love this because I really want to help. Stay in your lane is aimed at those who choose to remain bound to the ground. There are no lanes in the sky when you fly. I'm going to keep saying it. It's an original quote from me. AI didn't write it. I wrote it. I say it. I've been saying it for years. As I grew as an author, remember the first book I told you about that I did for publishing was Get Right Church, right? I'm making sure I have both versions. This was the original version. Here's the revised edition. Well, here's the challenge. Because I was publishing, I was being asked to speak in mainstream venues. And so Get Right Church, not that I'm ashamed of the book, but Get Right Church, it pigeonholed me a little bit. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about how I forayed into mainstream. This was my first mainstream book, which meant that I was writing it to the industry as a whole. So ABCs of authorship, building blocks for emerging authors. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about what to do when your market expands. So for instance, for me, it was from ministry to mainstream. People always say, how do you separate your ministry from your marketplace? This was one of the ways that I did it. So I had a book, I'll talk more about it tomorrow, that I could take into normal or regular or non-faith-based environments and have that available, even though this book was still a great tool to use. So thank you for joining me. I will be back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I have a little travel to do, but then I'll be back next week. So if you are in the DFW area, there's a networking event March 20th as well. So be sure to join me. Send me a message if you want more details on that, or look on my page, right? It's there. So I'm still mainstream in certain ways, and then in other ways, I go into the faith base, and you can do both original and revised. Yes, this was the original Get Right Church. Here's the revised edition. This was 2014, I believe, and this one's 2013 and 2024. So what happened was I had to revise the language. There were some things that had changed. So I invite you, if you have published a book, or if you started a book and you need to bring it up to date, it's okay to put new clothes on your baby. It's even smaller. I wanted it to be more portable, right? And I made it more colorful, and it's still, I made sure that everything in this book, the 2024 edition, was accurate as of the date of this printing, and it will probably be revised again if things change in a major way. So allow yourself to develop, to reinvent yourself, to revise yourself. And even this book that I talked about today, I did slight revisions to that I'm uploading to online, okay? All these books are available online, so I'm excited to talk to you about how I went from ministry to mainstream and how you can do that and still be cool. All right. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate the support, and I'll be back tomorrow to talk about mainstreaming your message. All right. Talk to you soon.